It's time once again for me to indulge in one of my favorite temptations. Hello, welcome to my channel, another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and yesterday I went on a book buying spree at McKay's used bookstore in Manassas, Virginia. This store is located about an hour away from me, so I can't just drop by for a quick visit and shop casually. I have to plan to make a trip because I don't really like driving long distances anymore, and I consider an hour away kind of a long distance. Fortunately, the traffic was not too heavy, and I got some good used good used books yesterday. I am going to present these books more or less from the cheapest book to the most expensive book. There is one exception because some of the books just go together. But what did I find? The first is really one of my favorite finds of the day, and that is Berlin Noir by Philip Carr. This is a series that I have read before, and for whatever reason, I decided to unhaul Bad, Bad, Naughty, Wicked Me. This is a series of historical mysteries set in Nazi Germany. What a fantastic idea for a mystery novel, and they're really good. I have no idea what made me unhaul them. This book, look at that. That's 49 cents for 3 great historical mystery novels. And the book is actually in pretty good condition. There is some slight creasing on the spine, so someone has read this before. And I'm becoming more and more curious about life under authoritarian regimes, and I wanted to revisit these series of novels, and dumb me had unhauled it. But now that is fixed, only 49 cents. Lucky find. Another great find is Forrest Gump by Winston Groom. Most people are familiar with the very famous Tom Hanks movie. I saw that movie when it was first released, and I said, yeah, that's an okay movie. I later learned that it was based on a book. I also learned that the author, Winston Groom, did not like the film adaptation of that movie, or his book. I don't know why, but it made me curious. What's in this book that is so different from the movie? Now, as I said, the movie didn't impress me all that much, but this is a pre-movie paperback version. It has been read. There's a slight crease, and this book only cost me 75 cents. So I do hope to read this probably sometime in 2026, maybe towards the end of 2025, if I can find the time. Who would want to buddy read this book with me? Drop me a comment in the description if you think would make a good buddy read. Now, these 2 books I have other copies of. These are Sherlock Holmes pastiche novels. And this novel right here, The 7% Solution, is an absolutely fantastic novel. It deals with Sherlock Holmes' cocaine addiction. Because in the second book in the series, you learn that Sherlock Holmes uses cocaine. And it's sort of dismissed in the series, written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, as something that Sherlock Holmes did and then stopped doing. But this story tells a much stronger detail about even Sherlock Holmes had a very tough time kicking his cocaine habit. And all in all, there's something interesting in this book. Sigmund Freud shows up. How it's a fascinating story. I really approve of The 7% Solution as a novel. Now, as I said, back on my shelves over there, I have other paperbacks, but I had to pick up this book. This book only cost me 85 cents. So either this edition or my other edition is probably going to be a gift to someone who likes Sherlock Holmes novels. They also had the sequel, The West End Horror. This is where Sherlock Holmes goes up against Jack the Ripper. I have not read this book yet. I am told it's not quite up to snuff to the 7% solution, but I really want to read it. It is a duplicate, so again, it's going to be a gift to someone. The only problem is I would be giving away a step-back cover. Look at that beautiful cover. And again, only 85 cents. The same amount I paid for the 7% solution. Now here is a mystery author that I have not read before, but I've heard a lot about. That's Nadia Marsh. She was a British crime writer. This book was written in 1951. I have never read her before, and that's a shame because she is a classic mystery author. I don't know a whole lot about the plot because some dumb clerk put this price tag right on the description of the story. But I really don't care about the story. It's the fact that she's a famous mystery author. I have not read her, and it cost me all of 85 cents. Now here's a book that I picked up that, again, I don't really need. This is the third in the Edge series. I have read it as a Kindle version, but I don't have the paperback copy. And at 99 cents, how could I say no to Edge, the most violent, bloody Western ever written, if you believe its author, George G. Gilmore. And of course, in that same section where I picked up The Edge, I picked up some naughty Westerns. I don't know why I keep picking up these naughty Westerns. I have more than I'll ever read, but these old covers are just absolutely hilarious. This is Long Arm on the Yellowstone. In this one, Long Arm is wearing clothes, but he's fighting a bear. And he has this wonderful dame that he's protecting. And it cost me 99 cents. More Long Arm. This is Long Arm 21. Long Arm and the Shepherd Herders. Well, back to form. Long Arm isn't wearing a whole lot of clothes on this cover. And his lady, again, is not wearing many clothes. Wouldn't that just be a fun old time? Now, if you're not familiar with naughty Westerns, they're just Western novels with a lot of graphic sex thrown in. Oh, I spent all of $1. Now, this is actually my preferred naughty Western series. This is the Gunsmith series by J.R. Roberts. Also, interesting enough, there are over 400 books in this series, and all of them were written by one man. The Long Arm series had a number of pseudonyms for different authors, but J.R. Roberts wrote all of his Gunsmith series. And this one is Gunsmith 23, The Riverboat Gang. Well, he's wearing pants, but not a shirt. And that lady's clothes, I don't think she's going to be wearing them for very long. Oh, $1.13. You get the idea that I'm a big spender? So, the Gunsmith 45, Navajo Devil. Well, you can see the gunsmith with his lady, and in the back there is I guess that is a Navajo shaman, not wearing a shirt. Good naughty times in this book, I expect. The Retaliators by Donald Hamilton in the Matt Helm series. This book was published in 1976. I have not actually read any of the Matt Helm books. Bad, Knotted, Wicked Me. I need to get to that. They're eventually men's adventure, mystery, detective novels, something like that. This cost me $1.20. And I found this book by accident. It was sitting in the middle of the science fiction section. Maybe some other customer just dumped it there, but at $1.20, how could I say no? All right, now we're getting into some garbogus titles. These are books that I've read before, but they were cheap, and I decided I needed them because I originally sold my paperbacks before. This is the rather notorious Gore series by John Norman. It is actually a pen name for a philosopher out of New York City known as John Lang. It is a notorious series because in this series he became to say that women wanted to be men's slave girls. In these early novels, that's not so prevalent. It's mostly just a science fantasy sword and planet series of an Earthman who goes to another alien planet that has a counter orbit to Earth, and Earth can't see it. I know, bad science. But they're actually rather exciting adventure stories. Until about the 7th book in the series, when John Norman decided to go on this bondage, women like to be slaves kick that really destroyed what would have been an utterly fantastic series of science fiction novels. So this is the first book in the series, Tarnsmen of Gore. It cost me $1.60. Outlaw of Gore is the second book in the series. By the time Del Rey came out with this, John Norman had already started publishing his slave girl theories. And you see in this cover, there's a man getting ready to brand a slave girl. This book was okay, as I remember it. It's been a long time since I read it. And that one, again, cost me $1.60. Priest Kings of Gore is the third in the series. It is this older, neater hardcover, and I like these older covers, even though the artwork is slightly different. It's not quite as cinematic in its depiction. And this one I had to pay a little bit extra. This was $2.99 for its vintage status. I picked up an NYRB Classics book, The Uncollected Short Stories of Mavis Galant. I have to admit that I have never heard of Mavis Galant before. I only saw this on the shelf, and I grabbed it because if you look behind me, you'll see a lot of NYRB classics. And basically, if it's an NYRB classic, it's probably worth buying and reading if the price is right. And this price is, what was it? $3.99. So yes, I picked it up without knowing anything about the author. She is a Canadian. She was born in 1922, and I believe a lot of these stories were probably published in the 50s or somewhere around there. So I'll eventually try reading some of her short stories. But again, this was an automatic buy for me. NYRB Classic, less than $5. That is a buy. Not entirely sure why I picked up this one. This is I Will Fear No Evil by Robert A. Heinlein. I read this when I was a junior in university. I was supposed to be reading my textbooks for classes, but I read this science fiction novel instead. This novel was published in, let me make sure of the date, 1971. It is the story of a rich old businessman who in his will stipulates that he wants his brain transferred into a younger body after he dies. Unfortunately, that will did not stipulate the gender of the body, and after he died, the best body available was a woman's body. So after he died as an old man, he wakes up as a young, beautiful woman and has to contend with life. Another major problem is that the consciousness of this woman still inhabits her body, and his consciousness inhabits her body. And as I was reading this at university, I was talking to one of my roommates, and my comment was, Robert A. Heinlein was trying so hard not to be sexist in this book. He was being really sexist. That's just a Robert A. Heinlein kind of thing. Maybe I'll get around to rereading it someday. This book cost me $1.99. It's actually out of order in my prices. Oh well. Okay, I picked this up for Garbogist to read a novelization or a media tie-in book. This is Doctor Who and the Day of the Daleks. It is the first in the series of this paperback Doctor Who series. Now, back in, I guess, the late 80s or early 90s, I was quite a devotee of the Doctor Who TV series back when Tom Baker was the Doctor. I really enjoyed those series. And this author, Terrence Dicks, I am told on the Voxer group for Garbogist, was also a primary author for the scripts. And I'm told he's actually pretty good at it. Now, I have not seen a Doctor Who TV show since it went off the air in PBS back in the 90s. I have not seen any of the new Doctor Who series. But again, I really love the original series. The question is, how well it will translate to a novelization. I shall see. Dan Simmons' Love of Death. This is a collection of horror short stories. Dan Simmons is one of the best horror novelists in America in the 20th century and early 21st century. He's still alive, but I don't think he's writing books anymore. And some of the stories in this collection are fantastic. I actually found when I got home that I have another copy of this book. So this is another book that will need to be repurposed and sent to someone who needs to read these short stories. Maybe as a buddy read for somebody with me. Oh, and this was one of the expensive books. This was $5.24. That's really not expensive. Lastly, I picked up The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. James McBride grew up as a white boy somewhere in suburbia or maybe a city. He did not know that he was half black until he was an adult. I read his biography or autobiography of him discovering that he was part black. The author now identifies as a black man, and this is one of his newer novels. Did this win the Pulitzer Prize or the National Book Award, or was it just nominated? But in any case, this book has been selected for my in-person book group to read in October, and I only had to pay $5.49. I know this is set in New York City. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's been selected by my book group, so I'm going to read it anyway. So those are the books that I picked up at McKay's used bookstore yesterday. And my total bill for all these books with tax was $38.94. I consider that one darn good haul of books. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.